So we're sitting here this morning having a little breakfast. Chase Turner of SD Bullion was kind enough to stop by the house today. We're gonna do a little boating, a little surfing later. And he brought a few things by. And as you know, and I know that people, the trolls out there are gonna hate that link, SD Bullion down below, but I love SD Bullion. I've been dealing with them for 5 years. The only place I've been buying precious metals from for 5 years. And I believe everybody should at least have some precious metals. But this isn't about who you buy from. This is about why you should be buying. And Chase was nice enough to come by. He's going to show us a few things. Absolutely beautiful what he brought today. And he's going to share this with you. And then we're going to talk a few minutes about why you, myself, Aaron, why we own precious metals and why we believe you should own precious metals. It's not financial advice. It is life advice. Chase.
Hey, guys. Thanks, JB.
No, hey, no problem. Great having you down. Why don't you start with who you are, what you're doing, what role you play with SD Bullion, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me. First of all, I want to say, man, thanks for the partnership for the last 5 years. It's been incredible. Your audience has been incredible. A lot of them have called and referenced you. And so, yeah, we just really connect with your audience. And that's why when you said you're in town, I wanted to make the effort to come down, see you face to face, get to hang out with you guys and talk to these people. So, currently CEO at SD Bullion, and SD Bullion started in 2012. It's just a small business, actually started by stackers, probably the only company in the industry, especially at our level, where the guys behind the curtain actually are bullion stackers themselves, and that's why they got into business. Right back in 2012, there wasn't a lot of options to choose from back then. And long story short, we started small and grew to where we are now, which is about the third largest precious metals dealer in the United States. We're on track to do about 1.3 billion in sales this year, and we're just in a really good position we really focus on serving stackers, right? We really focus on bullion. That's kind of our lane, and that's where we want to be because, again, as stackers ourselves, we really understand the market and what you're looking for, what your customers are looking for. And that's ultimately what we're trying to provide. So It's been a fun journey.
Yeah. And I will say you called me about 5 years ago. I had 10,000 subscribers, and you reached out to me. And a lot of people reached out even before you called me and say, hey, SD Bullion's a great place. You should buy your gold and silver from SD Bullion, because I bought from a lot of just coin dealers locally and even pawn shops. And when you called me, I started buying from you. And the service was great, and I started referring the people watching the show to SD Bullion. And I don't think I've bought, well, I can tell you right now, I've not bought an ounce of gold from anybody other than SD Bullion for the past 5 years. And I've bought a lot of gold from you. My family's bought a lot of gold from you. My friends have bought a lot of gold from you and silver. And I know Aaron is a big stacker and really likes you. You bought a bar last year,
yes, I think it was. SD Bullion has gotten some of my fiat trash, and I've converted it to real money. I don't know how much, but yeah, I like dealing with SD Bullion. There's a couple different that I use, but yeah, it depends on what I'm looking for, and they do have a good variety, and I think the price point is also good. So yeah, I definitely have shopped there myself.
And what I like too is your people. When we talked, you were very awake of what's going on, and I've talked to other people, and I've had a lot of other bullion dealers reach out to me to put that link down below to be part of my channel. And SD Bullion, when we spoke 5 years ago, you were awake to what was happening, why people should be buying this stuff. And many places that sell, even the coin dealers to some of the bullion dealers, they don't even really realize the importance of gold and silver, why people should really be buying it. And you did, and that I really respected.
Yeah, I would actually like to speak to a little bit of that. So, yeah, you're right. Most other people look at this as a business, right? They see an opportunity, they get in, but they don't have a stacking background. They don't even have a conservative background sometimes. They just, maybe they came from corporate America, and that's how they build these things. I can tell you a story. Like, I used to work at one of the largest dealers in the U.S. They recently just got the majority, Pam Swiss from overseas took a majority stake in them recently, so you can look that up and see who I'm talking about. But I was in a department of 30 people in marketing. Maybe one other guy in there was a stacker. The only other gold or silver that those people had was maybe something they got from the company. Like every year you'd get an ounce of silver for being there. They had no inkling of being silver investors themselves. I'm talking all the way to the top of the food chain.
Right. And you stack yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so a lot of people will say, oh, these bullion dealers, they don't even stack themselves. You're just giving them cash for gold. And that's what I liked about SD Bullion. You believe in what you're selling, and you guys stack yourself, and that's so important because Aaron is a huge stacker, and you understand the importance of stacking, especially now with where everything is heading.
Absolutely. So I started in about 2016 is when I started stacking. My precious metals for the longest time was lead and copper. And, I started following channels like yours, and it woke me up to, hey, there is a use for this stuff. There is, a good reason to stack other stuff besides, the lead and copper thing.
And Chase, today, JP Morgan said investment allocation to gold is at the highest level since 2012. That came out 18 hours ago on Bloomberg. Any response to that?
Not surprised.
Not surprised. And you and again, we just spoke earlier. August was one of your biggest months. Yeah. So this again just reinforces what this article says right here. So you're seeing more people turning to precious metals for wealth protection, insurance.
Yeah, but I mean, not just retail investors that we deal with. Like James Anderson covers our YouTube channel. He does a weekly wrap up every week. He's been consistently saying now for probably the last 2 years that governments are buying more gold than they
right. Central banks,
like
governments, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, etc.
Everybody can see the writing on the wall.
Right.
It doesn't matter which country.
So why are they buying so much gold right now, or they have been the last few years? But why?
Yeah, fear. I mean, they're looking for a safe haven. Like when Silicon Valley Bank collapsed in March, the amount of people that we saw come in to buy gold, because normally like a lot of our customer base will buy silver. It's more affordable. Yeah. A lot of people, the gold to silver ratio, maybe there's more upside, right? Yes, whatever you want to buy. Right. But in this period, since this banking situation, it's been gold. People want gold, and they want it in amounts that we've never seen before.
And so, and we'll get to some of the things you brought here on the table. Absolutely beautiful. But why should people own precious metals? Me personally, I think this is probably the most important time in history that you should be owning precious metals. But why should people own precious metals?
Yeah. For me, I look at it as an insurance, right? I don't look at it as an investment. If we're going to sit here and say we want out of the U.S. dollar and we want to get into precious metals because we're scared the U.S. dollar is going to collapse, and then we buy gold and we sit around and we look at, well, what's the price of gold today? Why are you worried about the price of gold in the dollar, in the fiat dollar, if you want it out of dollar? So if you look over time, we're actually working on a piece right now that I'm very excited about. I'll share it with you when it gets out. But historically, if you look back and you say, how many ounces of gold did it take to buy a single family residence in like the 60s, 50s, just pick any date. It doesn't matter. Fast forward to the timeline we're living in now. Yeah. It's going to be roughly the same amount of ounces of gold.
So it preserves your purchasing power. So just like a mercury dime, you can still buy a candy bar for just like you could buy a candy bar back in 1944. You can still buy that $1.85 candy bar today, but you cannot do it with the dollar.
Right.
Aaron.
So I had a question about the availability of the, what would that be? The bulk, the 1,000-ounce bars that to melt. How easy is it to obtain that right now? Is it pretty difficult to get that, or are you still able to get the big supply to make the smaller products?
Yeah, it's pretty available, I would say, but it's depleting. Right. So earlier this year, we were in a COMEX vault, right, where they store all the 1,000-ounce bars. Just one of them. They have multiples, and you could tell this thing held a lot of silver. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head how many millions of ounces, but it was probably 20% full at best. Wow. I'm not necessarily saying that's a testament to, but there's ebbs and flows, and you can still get them. But when you go in somewhere like that, and you look around, you can see like, okay, I mean, there may be a day where you can't, right?
Right. And y'all are one of the big dogs on the street, so it's probably easier for y'all to get it because of
our relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: so we've seen some events take place over the last couple of years where you see a surge in purchases. Yeah. If things really get bad, which I anticipate at some point, we're going to see some pretty historic, epic, biblical times in America. How fast will you run out of inventory? How hard will it get to actually purchase physical gold or physical silver? And when do we begin to see institutional money really pour in? And when that happens, again, how fast does this stuff disappear?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, I said it's an insurance, right? And if you don't buy insurance, you always want to buy it after you need it, right? We saw that in Q1 of this year when the banks started collapsing. And I mean, those were some big banks, but they were still small on the scale, right? And not just us, every bullion dealer in the world was essentially within 2 weeks, right? We're on back order. And it wasn't so much of the availability of getting the metal. It was that in combination with the fact that there was just more volume than anybody could handle. Like, let's say, for example purposes, our fulfillment center could ship 1,000 orders a day. And in a regular market, that's fine. We're going to get your order out like that. Well, if you're getting 4,000 orders a day, it doesn't take long before you're really backed up. And now somebody's waiting 2 months for their metal. You're going to get your metal, but it's going to be, you know, backlogged. So in a catastrophic bank failure, I would say you would within a week you would probably run out of metal.
Go on. And can you elaborate on premiums? People are always complaining about the premiums, and we saw premiums really start to go up. We're Eagles right now. I don't even know, but the Eagle premiums.
Eagles have come down.
They've come down. And what were they up? Like 12?
Oh, they were up to $25 at one point.
Yeah. So what is that? What was the premium? The premium.
No,
the premiums were $25. $25.
It was almost $50.
Yeah. So why have we seen premiums get so out of control? Because people really started complaining about the premiums, and so what is the reason for that?
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, it was mainly just a silver eagle. Like during COVID, it was everything because everything was shut down. And since we do sell a physical product, you can buy paper, silver, and gold on the market. It's just not backed by paper, or it's not backed by gold and silver, right?
Physical,
so if you want physical, there's only a finite amount of it available. And in times of, you know, when everybody wants it, supply and demand. So when COVID, when everything was shut down, you just couldn't get any supply. So that's why it went up.
The premium.
The silver eagle, they just didn't make many. And so the way that the Silver Eagle works is the U.S. Mint sells to authorized purchasers, which unfortunately we're not. And so you have to go through them to get the Silver Eagle. So they kind of control the cards in that scenario. So in this scenario you're talking about, it was kind of a...
But a lot of people say, "Oh, SD Bullion's making all this money because they're jacking up the premiums, or you know, this mint, or you know, they're jacking up the premiums, and this dealer's jacking up the premiums." But that's not true.
No, our Silver Eagle margin percent roughly stayed the same, but our wholesale buying went from, let's say, $3.50 all the way up to $15.
Yeah, right.
So that's what we're having to pay to get it.
Right.
Now, every other product in the industry is basically kind of regulated. I mean, you can go buy silver at SD Bullion right now for 75 cents over spot.
Okay.
You know, I mean, that's pretty cheap.
So, and what about junk silver?
Junk silver has definitely came back down. That's one of those, like, they haven't made it since the 60s, right? So you want to see a run on something. We're always looking at junk silver as an indicator because it will tell you when things are going to come before they come. So if you see junk silver premiums start to creep up, there's a reason for that. But it's because demand's coming and they're running out of it.
If you want junk silver, you can get it at SD Bullion right now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Aaron, anything?
So I had a question. So do you think there'll ever be a point in time where you are not able to obtain precious metals, gold, silver?
Us or the retail?
I'm sorry, us, the little people.
I don't know. It's hard to say. I will tell you this, that the people that we have connections with that are really big, that are much bigger than us, they're not concerned about that. So, but it's hard to say. They're always mining more, right? And you got to keep in mind, like, the industrial use far outweighs, like, the retail investor side. There's a lot of metal out there. It's just who's it going to, right?
Some of the purchases, have you seen in the last 12 or 24 months an uptick in the purchase of gold or silver, in the price or what people are spending? Are you seeing bigger orders where people are spending some really serious money?
Yeah. You're talking about our average order value. It is trending up over time. Yeah. Like during Q1, it 5x'd.
Okay. Wow.
So when we talk about those catastrophic events and the amount of money that's pouring in, it's coming in large volumes in those periods, right? But over time, every year it does go up a little bit. Not a ton, but maybe 10% a year. But in those events, you're talking 4 or 5x. That's when the big money's coming in. That's when some guy says, you know, I got $5 million in the bank. Just give me gold.
Yeah. And so do you see people like that? Here, I have $1 million, $2 million. Do you have $1 million purchases? That's pretty common.
This last month, we've done 5 million, 5 million, 6 million.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. Here's another question too, Chase. A lot of people, and you know, we've talked about this, Mavs, we've talked about this. Why are we not seeing the price of precious metals going up with all the uncertainty, the economy dragging? There's just so much unknown out there, and we're not really seeing gold or silver really where we thought we would see it right now. I think it's doing okay. And some would probably argue that, you know, especially gold has done quite well with everything, especially the dollar yesterday, I think was $1.05, and gold's still staying above 1900. But, you know, I would have even thought like we would be way past $2,000 right now. Silver, where are we at today on silver?
I think it's like 23,
24. It's just been so volatile. And once it gains a little traction, it looks like it's finally going to break out a little bit, and then it gets dragged right down. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's a simple answer, right? We're talking about a paper price. We're not talking about physical price. And the amount of paper trades that they do at Wall Street compared to the actual physical that's behind it, and the sentiment between you and me versus what those guys are using it for. Again, James covers this a lot on our channel. There's a ton of spoofing going on. People go to jail over this. I mean, there's a ton of manipulation in the market.
Yes.
However, I mean, over time, and we were still in the bull market. Right, gold and silver is still performing well. Gold's been performing really well lately. Like it's not breaking it slow, and you can see like okay, we're pretty. But ultimately, it's just we're talking about a paper price.
Right.
Ultimately, we're in a physical market.
Right, and so I'm sure that pumping $7 trillion into the economy over 30 months probably didn't help. But that's, to me, they're just kicking the can down the road even further, creating even a bigger disaster now, making it even more important that people own this stuff. But you're right, you know, GLD, SLV, the paper, there's a big difference. And maybe you want to elaborate for a minute here, the difference between paper, GLD, SLV versus physical, because I see people in the comments going, oh, you know, should I buy some, you know, paper, SLV or some GLD? There's a big difference between the physical and the paper, and more than likely, and that's all paid in dollars too. And we've said before, measure your wealth in ounces, not dollars. And so that's the difference between, in my opinion, the paper and the physical. And I'm holding this. I can get to this in 30 seconds if I need to. The GLD and the SLV, I can't. And you're never going to get the physical. So what are they selling? Like 300 pieces of paper for every ounce. And people don't really realize that. So if you could elaborate a little bit better than me, the difference between the paper and the physical, and why you'd rather own physical than the paper.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple, right? It depends on your strategy. Ultimately, if we're buying precious metals because we want to hold it and we need something very liquid, right? We need something to sustain over the long time purchasing power. Paper, gold, and silver don't do that. The only people that are really in paper, gold, and silver that probably should be are day traders or something, right?
Right?
Other than that, as you said, if it hits the fan, well, that's not real gold. You can't, you know, call them and say, hey, send me some gold coins. I actually need to use them.
Right, and that can go to zero. This can't.
Exactly.
This has a 5,000-year history. That doesn't. That's going to pay you out in dollars, which are losing value every day. And really quick, because I know we all have to get going and we want to see these beautiful rounds. But BRICS, what is your opinion now? Now we're at BRICS 11. This is a game changer. And it's going to be BRICS 20, and then BRICS 30, and BRICS 40. And I do believe this is going to be a new era and a new world now. And I think that the precious metals are going to play a very important role here. Any thoughts on this?
I think it's longer term than maybe we want it to be, right? The effects that it's going to have, that's just my personal opinion, living in Brazil for a couple years and kind of seeing how these countries are coming together. Yeah. But it is, at the end of the day, everything that happens makes gold and silver more important to own, right? It doesn't matter what scenario you throw at it. There's always a reason to say, well, if I have gold and silver, I'm protected.
Yes. Right?
And eventually the BRICS will pick up steam. It will take away from the U.S. dollar. And who knows what we're going to be trading in the U.S. I mean, we could even get into Fed now and what that's, you know, all those unknown scenarios is the reason you say, well, if I have this, I don't have to worry about it. I can sleep at night and I don't have to worry about it.
All right, so you're talking about how the price is manipulated. I'm a firm believer that eventually they're manipulating it down so all the smart money can obtain the physical, and then they're going to pull the rug from under everyone, and then I believe they're going to manipulate the price up.
I've heard the theory. It's not a bad theory. I mean, JP Morgan owns more silver than everybody, right? So it's reasonable to think that. The only caveat I would say is like, well, it's an industrial use metal. So one of my theories, one of my personal theories, is the reason that silver stays so cheap is because it's used in every electronic. And who runs all the electronics? Microsoft, Apple, these big tech companies. That's one of my, conspiracy theory ideas, right? Nobody's really gave me credit for it, but so it's used in industrial, right? So they have a reason to keep silver down. I don't know.
But is there enough silver out there to keep going? Because we always hear that there's not that much silver in the world. There's silver shortages. There's not a lot of silver out there. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think as far as, I don't like the word silver shortages. Like that definitely happened in COVID, right? COVID was a weird situation. There's certainly a finite amount of silver in the earth. And if you divide that by how many people live on this earth, then yes, we are in a silver shortage, right? If everybody had, needed some silver, it's not going to be available. Like, what's the average when you run the math? Like, I think it's of the stuff that's even available on the retail side out of industry. I think it's maybe a 10th ounce of gold for every human being, something like that. Yeah. So it's not available.
Right. So it's very interesting. So we have some silver right here.
Yeah.
If you have another question, let me know if you think of anything. But we'll let Chase show us what he brought.
Cool. I brought something I thought your viewers would like. I know how you're always talking about people are waking up more every day to what's going on around us. And so we actually have a series called the Awakening series. And I was telling you about this quote before we got on here. But basically what we base this off is you can't wake a person who's pretending to be asleep. It was an Ed Snowden quote. Well, it wasn't his quote, but he talked about it on the Joe Rogan podcast about the guys in D.C. and, saying, they know what they're doing. They're just pretending to be asleep. You think they're asleep. So we took it and we really liked it. We made this Awakening series. So this is one of the first ones we launched. You can see these in the background, these etchings. That's a Magi. That's like the first ever version of the word, like if you translate it today to liberty. And so obviously as liberty's highly important to, U.S. citizens that think the same way we do. That was kind of one of our first ones to launch. So we really like that one. That sold out really quick. These are just like fun designs on what's going on, our take. So this is Warhorse. This sold out like in a day. So this is a Trojan horse standing on a cell phone. And basically the concept here is that, your cell phone is basically spying on you every day. All the big tech companies are spying on you every day, just like a Trojan horse. They're just, conveniently, and you let them right in. And so that was one of the ones we did. One of the most, here's another one, House of Cards. So you'll like this one. This is all the fiat currency cards stacked, and they're all, basically it's a house of cards. All the fiat currencies are falling down. These are all sold out, by the way. I'm bringing them. These are some I had at home. This is one we just released, Disaperi. So that stands for deceit. And you can tell that's the capital. You've got a donkey and an elephant wolves wrapped in a donkey and an elephant clothing, kind of the play on words there, basically saying that, both parties are, kind of actors, bad actors up there. So that's the Awakening series. I thought your following would like that. This is this is SD Bullion's Truth series. So back in 2017, the founders of our company said, all these people are using their platforms for ways that, maybe we wouldn't. You could throw out the word woke if you wanted to, right? And so we said, how could we use our platform to spread truth? So we started the Truth series. This is probably the most favorite design. That's the Tree of Life. So every year we launch 4 different designs, and there's a Bible verse on all 4 designs. They go together. You got to buy all 4 coins to get the full verse, and these are going to be the cheapest silver coin on the market. So it's kind of our way to spread our message out there, and it's been very popular. And then the last one I have is actually a gift I brought for you. So I'm going to put it on that.
Yeah.
So this is a new series that's coming out. Scottsdale Mint is probably, we think they're the best private mint in the U.S. by far when it comes to quality and production. Josh Fair over there is just an amazing guy, and we love doing business with him. So we met with him about a month ago. He showed us this coin, and for me, it was the coolest silver coin I'd ever come across, and I've been stacking since 2009. So as soon as we saw it, we said, hey, please let us exclusively sell this at SD Bullion. And it's a series called the Commander Series, and he agreed to it. So launch number 1, Napoleon, is coming out in about 3 weeks. You're the first person to ever see this in retail.
It's very stunning.
Yeah, for sure. What is that? Is that a 5 ounce? Or?
It's a 5 ounce coin. Check out
see the back of it. Let me get that.
Yeah, and if you look at the rim, the way they minted it's called open collar. Nobody really does it, but these guys are doing a lot of things that nobody does. And so it's got this really unique finish to it. It's You can see it's kind of like proof-like on the face and everything, but the rest of it's kind of like this stone. So anyways, we're super excited about it. I brought this as a gift to you.
I really appreciate
appreciation of our relationship over the years. And so you're the first guy to ever have one of the Commander series. Appreciate it.
And I have to say, last night we were at Salt Lick and about 25 people showed up. And a lot of people there buy from SD Bullion and had nothing but positive things to say about SD Bullion, and I have nothing but positive things to say. And look, if you can buy whoever you want to buy from, I'm not here to push anything. Chase was so kind to come down and spend some time with us today. I've been dealing with him for 5 years, and to me, class act. I've never had an issue with SD Bullion, and again, the people there last night, a majority of them, all SD Bullion, love SD Bullion. At the end of the day, the bottom line is you need to be protecting yourself. You need to be protecting your wealth. And if you need, literally daily, people will write to me because they don't really know how to buy this stuff. And maybe you can explain it. First off, you want to deal with somebody reputable. Yeah. And a lot of people will write, how do I do this? I'm not sure how to do that, or how to do this or that. And, I can't respond to every comment. Maybe you can talk to somebody out there today. Like, it's very easy. Yeah, you can explain the process.
Yeah, it's just like buying shoes off Amazon, really. Yeah. Although there's a market price involved, but you can pay with a credit card. You can pay with your e-check. You can just put your account number and routing number in. But look, I get it. That's most of the calls that we field.
People get nervous. I'm going to spend $5,000 or $50. Yeah. $50 is a lot of money to a lot of people, and I understand that. And $5,000, $50,000, that's a lot of money. And so, people want to feel safe that they're not going to get ripped off because we've heard a lot of horror stories out there. So I can tell you right now, I've never had an issue. You guys have been fantastic. And they can go to my link or they can go right to you.
Yeah. Go to JB's link below. But call us. We got people that can walk you through. And most basic questions, what do I buy? I'm new, right?
Right.
We're going to give you simple answers.
What would you recommend, to somebody who has... Aaron, like if somebody had $500, what would you do? What would
junk silver if they're starting out for the first time? As long as the premiums aren't ridiculous. But junk silver.
100%. I mean, junk silver, maybe 3 months ago we would say just get a silver bar. I've been telling people that want to buy Silver Eagles for the last year when it's been $25 over spot. Hey, just buy the cheapest silver bar. Whenever the premium comes back, you can sell the silver bar and get into Eagles if you really want to. Right. So we're going to make sure that you're getting the best value, right? We're not going to oversell you and overhype you on stuff that's not worth it. That way you get the most amount of silver for your fiat, right? Which is ultimately what we're trying to do. It's all worth an ounce, right?
Right. At the end of the day, an ounce is an ounce, right?
An ounce is an ounce, basically. That's all. If you're a new beginner, that's all you need to know.
Right.
One other thing I do want to shout out. I don't know if you talk about it much on your channel or not, and you have to tell me. Yeah. But we just recently launched, as in the last 30 days, launched a gold and silver IRA program. Are you familiar with self-directed IRAs?
No.
Oh, really? Okay. So it's a way for people that have money in the market. Let's say it's in an IRA, it's in a retirement account. You can actually buy physical gold and silver within your retirement account, have the same tax benefits, but you're in physical. So it's a simple process, and we've made it even simpler. Essentially, you start what's called a self-directed IRA, right? You're used to your traditional and stuff. So this is a self-directed IRA. Once that's set up, and by the way, we do all this for you now. Used to, you had to work with 3 different firms because you need a storage, you need a place to store your metal, you need a place to buy your metal, and you need a custodian, which is what you're used to. Like if you have a financial advisor, that's your custodian. In this case, we're kind of all 3, right? So you set up your self-directed IRA. You can roll over funds from your traditional IRA or whatever, your retirement account into the self-directed IRA. Then you can actually buy physical precious metals like coins like this. You can actually buy this in your retirement account to protect yourself, and it goes in our depository, which I'm going to invite you to. You got to come up and see it. But it's stored there in your IRA. So as gold and silver go up, you're not paying taxes on the growth. And as you retire, if you go into retirement age, you can actually take distribution of your precious metals and get them delivered to your house. Just like you would cash out your stocks or bonds or whatever, you can do that with physical. So it's a way for people that have, let's say they have a lot of money in their retirement account and they're worried about the stock market. Yep. This gives them the avenue to take that money, get out of the market, and get into physical, right? And if they want to go back into the market, they just sell the physical and go back in.
So who would they contact? Is there somebody that they can call, contact?
Yep. If you call us, we'll have option 4 right now. It goes to an IRA specialist, or you just ask for an IRA specialist. You can also Some of the 401ks, depending on your situation, you can also get 401k money into physical. So this is it's not newer, but it's definitely getting out there more. We're getting a lot of calls about like, I didn't realize that I could take my retirement funds and actually put them in physical gold and silver. You can put them in paper gold and silver, but we talked about that. That's not really, if shit completely hits the fan, that's going to go to zero. There's nothing behind it. This is set in a vault with your name on it, segregated to your retirement account.
And so again, is there anybody they should call? Is there a number you want to give out, or just go to the website? Anything?
Just go to our website, 1-800-294-8732. But you go to the website, you'll see it right there. Just call, ask for an IRA specialist. We can walk you through it. But we're excited about it. It's something that we're going to start really marketing very heavily because it's the best thing in the industry. I have one myself, actually. Right, so I'm very familiar with how this works, and it's been very hard. We've been working on this project for 18 months to make it so much easier for somebody to call. We had a guy call and fund and have precious metals in his IRA within 72 business hours 2 weeks ago. Traditionally, it takes usually 3 months to do that.
And that's nice that you're selling something that you actually own, because there's a lot of people out here that sell stuff that don't own what they actually sell. And so you're walking the walk, and I totally respect that. Aaron, anything in closing?
I just appreciate Chase coming down here, and I think we're going to have a good time on the lake doing some silver surfing.
And Chase, any last words?
Hey, thanks for having me, man. So good to meet you in person, man. We'll go tear this lake up and have some fun.
Heck yeah. All right. So we're out of here. Again, link down below if you need any help with gold or silver. You don't have to buy it. It doesn't change my life. Doesn't change Aaron's life. Doesn't really change Chase's life. We all own it. We're going to continue to own it. We're going to continue to buy it, because if you see what we're seeing going on out there, you need to be protecting yourself. You understand the importance of insurance. This is wealth protection, wealth insurance. You must have it. So God bless. Have a wonderful day. Chase, thanks for coming out. Let's hit the lake. We're out of here. Talk to all of you soon.